Hello, guys. We are back, and I'm going to walk you through our next lesson, which is the 1.12. To get here, this is our English class page. Of course, you need to check out your calendar. Be sure and read my class newsletter. This is where you can find these lovely videos. And check your grades. All right. Find out if you have any overdues and then what specifically those are and get those turned in. Next is content. So this is how we get to our OLS lessons. So let's click on content and let's get to it. So over here on the left, you have your table of contents, and Unit 1 is already opened up. So I can just scroll down over here and go to 112, share your story. And we have learn, and then an assessment is attached to this one. Just keep in mind that you will need your notes and stuff from 111 because there could also be questions from lesson 11 on the lesson 12 quiz. All right, let's always start with this introduction because it has the important study guide. Share your story introduction. Let me move this up a little bit. Uh-oh, I don't want it full screen. There we go. Well, all right, that's as close as I'm going to be able to get. A personal narrative. That's an essay about a personal experience of the writer. We worked on this a little bit in class last week, so if you weren't in live class sessions, maybe go watch those videos. That will probably help you. A personal narrative is an essay about an experience the writer has had. It is not like a short story, except, other than, the events and people are real because it is always written from the narrator's point of view. It's written in first person using pronouns such as I, my, and me. As you continue, you will have the chance to read a personal narrative and respond to it first as a reader. Then you will examine it critically and think about how it affected you. You'll also learn about some of the techniques a writer uses to develop a topic and create an effect. Finally, you'll respond to the essay as a writer, analyzing the writer's craft and identifying how to make writing come alive. We're going to go to slide 2, and this is where we find our study guide. So we're going to download that. Let me pause the recording for just 1 second. Student guide, a personal narrative, and we've already read this part. The lesson objective: use first-person point of view, language that shows, and dialogue. Write a personal narrative in chronological order. Analyze claims and supporting evidence 2 or more authors use when presenting information about the same topic, person, or event. Differentiate between primary and secondary sources. Explain author's purpose using textual evidence. Identify the effect of first-person point of view. So to prepare, we need a graphic organizer, and we have a personal narrative here. We also have some key vocabulary. Let's go over that first before I download these. Chronological order, organizational pattern in which details are arranged in the order they occur. Except, other than. First-person point of view, narration of a story by one of the characters using the first-person pronouns of I and me. Hook, a surprising or intriguing passage, idea, or image used to grab the reader's attention, usually at the beginning of a work. Pattern and organization, the order by which details are arranged. Personal narrative, an essay about a personal experience of the writer. Purpose, the reason for writing. Tone, the writer's attitude toward the topic or subject. And writer's craft, the techniques a writer uses and the decision a writer makes to develop an essay. And I'm going to share your stories the quiz. Okay, let's go ahead and download this download this graphic organizer. Downloads right here in the corner. Then you'll click on that arrow and click open. And it's opening up on my second screen right now. Give it just a second and I will pull it over. Okay, so we have this, and it'll automatically have this yellow bar at the top. We need to get rid of that so that we can type right on it. So you just click here where it says enable editing, and then you can type your name. All right, and before reading, we're going to ask questions such as, what type of text is this? How do you know what type of text it is? What features does it have that tell you that it's this type of text? Make some predictions based on the headings and titles and images you see and the organization of the text. While you're reading, check your predictions. Were they correct? Do they need to be adjusted? What is the author's purpose for writing? What is his or her goal? How is the text arranged? What information is presented in the beginning, middle, and end of the text? So kind of a summarization, which we'll be learning a little bit, reviewing in online classes this week. Check the after you read, you're going to check the accuracy of your predictions. Were they right? Do you need to revise them or change them? What is the main idea of the text? Remember, main idea is what it's mostly about. Theme is the message it's trying to convey, so don't confuse those two up. Give one piece of information that supports the main idea. Give a second one. So just like the technique we're using, the 5 summary, you want to give 2 details from the middle of the story that support your main idea. Example of a fact. Find an example of an opinion. And what is the author's tone or attitude in this text? So I'm just pull that off to the side where I have it handy. And we also need to download this one that says personal narrative. It's going to download right here in the bottom again. Once it's finished downloading, we click the caret and click open. Again, it's opening on my second screen. I'll pull it over when it's finished. This would pop up on your screen. Again, we need to get rid of this yellow bar by clicking enable editing. I'm going to move that out just a bit there. Okay, model essay, all shook up. And we're probably going to read this at some point, but I'm just going to leave it pulled up, just kind of scan through. Okay. And I have that pulled up, and I'm going to again put it off to the side for the moment. And now we're ready to go back to our lesson by clicking on this tab up here. And we're on slide 2 of 2, so we're ready to go back to the top and continue forward with module 1. What makes a personal narrative different from a personal essay describing yourself or expressing your opinions? The difference lies in the word narrative, usually defined as a story. Although nonfiction, a personal narrative is much like a short fiction story. The writer generally begins by setting the scene and indicating what the narrative will be about. Then, throughout the middle of the narrative, the writer describes what happened, using vivid language to help the reader imagine and feel the experiences. At the end, the writer provides the reader with a satisfying conclusion. The conclusion should answer the question at the back of the reader's mind. Why is this experience important enough to write about? Or what point is the writer trying to make? Read the personal narrative all shook up using the reading graphic organizer to apply reading strategies. So let's first pull, and again, it has those right here for you, but we've already downloaded them. So I'm going to first pull over just the model essay, and we're going to look at it. All shook up. Not again, I protested when I heard Mom's news. Where are we going this time? We've moved 6 times in the 12 years since I was born. That's because my dad's job is to set up offices for his company, and each time he finishes establishing a new one, we move. California, said Mom. I'm sorry, we have to uproot you again. She opened a map and pointed out the town we'd be moving to, north of San Francisco. She truly sounded sorry, but I could see she was pleased too, because she's from California. She'd always said Chicago was too noisy for her. For one thing, the elevated railway wasn't far from our apartment. Whenever the trains rumbled past, the chandelier in our living room swung to and fro. My stomach felt full and cold, full of cold lead. You'd think I'd be used to moving, but I felt sick every time. Now I'd have to say goodbye once more to my friends and places, to more friends and places I'd just come to feel comfortable with. Plus, Chicago was the most exciting place we'd lived. It had everything: great parks, libraries, museums, skating rinks, and playing fields. Only 5 blocks from home was the youth center where I played volleyball or board games or just hung out or joking around with friends. That day after learning the news, I went straight to the youth center to find my friends. Their smiles turned into gloomy frowns when I said I'd be leaving in a few weeks. We grumbled about my bad luck. Finally, Eric said, "Moaning and groaning isn't going to change anything. Can anyone say something good about this move?" Sarah piped up, "Well, Morgan, you could be laying on a warm beach while we're still slogging through the snow." I pictured myself lazing on this stretch of white sand, a gentle blue sea rocking before me, and palm trees rustling behind me. I could go for that. "Just think," added Josh, "no freezing rain or sub-zero temperatures, no tornadoes, no blizzards," contributed Kayla. "Just lovely sunny days." "Yeah, all you have to worry about are earthquakes," Josh joked. Earthquakes. Oh, great. I'd forgotten about earthquakes. I'd once researched the 1906 San Francisco quake. Nearly the whole city had burned down. Say earthquake to me, and I can see buildings collapsing in great clouds of dust. I can see flames devouring houses and thick black smoke menacingly hiding the sun. Of course, I knew that the houses were flimsy fire traps back then, but somehow that made no difference to my imagination. I tried to sound cool, but I don't know if my friends believed me when I responded, "So, earthquakes are no big deal." I tried not to think about earthquakes all that month as we were packing for our move. However, ever so often the rumble of the train called up my imaginations of buildings toppling and flames shooting up. I kept my mouth grimly shut. If mom and dad weren't nervous, then I wasn't going to let them see I was. At last, we flew to San Francisco. It was 5 in the morning, and I was too sleepy to notice anything. So it wasn't until the next day that I got my first surprise. I woke up early, put on my shorts, hurried outside, and my legs turned blue. It was cold, Mom had to explain. In Northern California, we have real winters. My second surprise came that afternoon when we toured the area and then drove to a beach. No white sand or swaying palm trees graced the beach. We stood on a cliff backed by dark evergreens. A green brown sea crashed furiously on the gigantic, jagged rocks below. My last surprise came the next morning. While Mom was at the supermarket, I was shelving books in my new bookcase. Suddenly, I heard a low rumble, and the room seemed to shudder for a few seconds. I thought, Mom is really going to be upset when she finds out we're living near train tracks again. I went on unpacking books. 5 minutes later, Mom came home, worry written on her face. "I hope you weren't scared," she said. "Of what?" "Of the earthquake." "That was an earthquake?" I exclaimed. I felt cheated. I'd been in an earthquake and hadn't even known it. I couldn't wait to write my friends in Chicago. All right, now we're going to also pull up the graphic organizer and fill it out. So, again, what type of writing are we talking about today? Personal narrative. So, this is going to have to be personal narrative. How do we know? Well, it's written in first person. We have the pronouns I, me, my. It tells of a personal experience of the author, something that actually happened to them. Making predictions based on the headings and titles and images and organization of the text. What do you think it's going to be about? Well, the title just says all shook up, so maybe something shaking? All right, while we read, check your predictions. Were they correct? Yes, because they are, or because the author is worried about earthquakes at his new or her new home. It doesn't really say. What is the author's purpose for writing? Okay, I'm going to leave that blank and let you figure that one out. How is the text arranged? Okay, when you're doing a personal narrative, it's going to be generally in chronological order, which means beginning, then middle. Oh my goodness, I can't type today. Middle, and then finally, it'll come to a conclusion or the end. Check the accuracy. Okay, after we read, were we right? Yeah, it was about things shaking, but we could go into more detail about it being about earthquakes specifically and his fear of them. What is the main idea of the text? I'm going to leave this blank. I want you to think about it. What was the main idea? Not the theme, but the main idea. Not the message, but what was it about? One piece of information that supports the main idea. Another piece of information that supports the main idea. Prove yourself. That's the main thing with literature, proving yourself with textual support. Example of a fact. Okay. Find an example of an opinion. And then what is the author's tone or attitude of the text? I'll let y'all figure that one out on your own. But be sure for that. Again, you can have that pulled up when it's time to take the 112 quiz. All right. And then we're going to, there's no part down there. And we're going to move on. Share your story too. What did you read? What did you learn from this personal narrative? My stomach felt full of cold lead. Is the narrator's stomach really full of cold lead? What does this sentence mean? Which type of figurative language is this an example using? Simile, metaphor? You think I'd be used to moving, but I felt sick every time. Now I'd have to say goodbye once more to friends and places I just come to feel comfortable with. Plus, Chicago was the most exciting place we'd lived. What does this sentence tell you about the narrator's feelings about moving to California? It had everything: great parks, libraries, museums, skating rinks, and playing fields. Only 5 blocks from home was the youth center where I played volleyball or board games or just hung out joking around with friends. Why was this youth center so important to the narrator? Number 1, is the narrator looking forward to moving to California? How do you know? Think about it and then check your answer. She states several reasons she loves Chicago in this paragraph. What are they? So again, this would be good to put in that review document. Remember, to start your review document, you go down here and click on the Windows button. You go into Word, and it's probably going to open on my other screen. Yes, it did. Give me just a second to get it. Hold on. It's not wanting to move very quickly. You're going to click on Blank Document. And then I would title it 1.112 Review. Just review. And then File, Save As, this PC, and enter this right here. 1.112. And you might want to say 1.112 ELA Review or something. Excuse me, to make sure that you know that it's for English and not some other class. I should have probably stipulated that last time, but anyway, you might want to put something ELA or whatever, or put ELA at the front, have your folder set up, and you might even want to put that it's, well, you can tell it's unit 1 because the first number is 1. And then just click Save. Did it not save it? Oh, there we go, Save. All right, and then just have this pulled up so we can copy and paste in there, and I would copy these questions and possible answers. Although they really don't give you an answer, but you can put your answer there. Is the narrator looking forward to California? How do you know? And then that one. Number 2, what does it mean when the narrator says she will have to say goodbye to her friends again? Write down what you think. Again, copy and paste. Excuse me, 1 second. Okay, number 3, why do you think the narrator begins her narrative in this way? What is her purpose for creating this mood of fear and uncertainty so early on in the narrative? Does it create suspense? All right, we're only on 1 of 3, so we're going to click over to go to 2 once you've got those copied and pasted. And again, anytime you see any questions like multiple choice questions, be sure and copy those by clicking on them. So you highlight them, right click and copy, or get them highlighted and press Control, hold down the Control key and the C button to copy. Then you will bring your review document over. And I'd like to go ahead and put number 1 and hit Control V, although I'm going to undo that if I can. Hold on, give me a second. Well, it doesn't want to do there we go. There's the undo button. Okay, and then I'm going to hit right click because I like for it to give me options so I can see. There we go. That one's going to look the most like what it would be. And then I'm going to go over here and put A for answer. What is the narrator most afraid about when planning for the move to California? A, floods, B, mudslides, C, the humidity, or D, earthquakes? I'm going to say mudslides. I know that's wrong, but you click check. It's going to tell me it's wrong. Then I can try again and click the correct answer. Once you know the correct answer, again, you're going to click on it, copy, and paste it over here. And then you're ready for number 2. Okay, and you would keep doing that anytime that you see these multiple choice questions. So you just click on that. Number 2, all of these are incorrect ideas that the narrator has about her new home, except which option? A, that is north of San Francisco. B, that it will be constantly warm. C, that the beaches will be full of white sand. Or D, that violent destructive earthquakes are normal. Click on your answer, check it. Once you know the correct answer, copy and paste the question and correct answer into that review document. Once you've done that, you're ready to move to the 3rd question. What is the twist at the end of the narrative? A, there is a train near the narrator's home. B, the narrator knows a girl in her new class. C, the narrator's friends surprise her with a model train set to remind her of Chicago. Or D, the narrator does not even notice her first earthquake. Okay, click on your answer, check it. Once you know the correct answer, copy and paste the question and correct answer into your review document. Once you have that done, you're ready to move on to question number 4. Complete the following sentence. The narrator is used to moving because A, her father's in the military. B, her mother is an actress. C, her father's job requires him to open new offices and move on. Or D, her parents are motivational speakers. Click on your answer, check it. Once you know the correct answer, copy and paste the question and correct answer into your Word document. And then you're ready to move to slide 3. Excuse me. Final thoughts. What did you get out of this reading? What have you learned about narratives? 1, what makes the story a personal narrative? Think of your thoughts, check the answer. It is a story from the narrator's life that she tells to make a point. So again, I would copy and paste this into that review document. Number 2, what is the tone of the story? Think of your answer, jot it down, check and see. Was she serious, playful, angry, or humorous? If so, how so? Number 3, which organizational method was used in this story? How can you tell? Number 4, what point was the narrator trying to make in the story? Jot down your answer. Her point was that we sometimes make problems or concerns bigger than what they really are. How does she reveal this point in the narrative? So copy and paste those things into your review document. Add your thoughts to them. Have that pulled up when you take the 112 quiz. All right, now that we've finished 1 through 3, we're on slide 3 of 3. We're ready to go up here and move on to module 3. Writing as a craft. You read the personal narrative and answered some questions about it. Now you will reread parts of the essay and think about the writer's craft. The writer's craft, it's the technique a writer uses and the decisions the writer makes to develop an essay. It includes all the techniques that a writer uses and all the decisions that the writer makes to develop an essay. A writer wants to capture the audience's interest immediately. If readers don't find the beginning interesting, they might not bother reading the rest of the essay. The writer of a personal narrative often tries to hook the audience by starting with a question, an exclamation, a dialogue, or a surprising idea or image. Slide 2. The hook. The hook uses dialogue and vivid language to capture the reader's interest. This is the first paragraph of the essay you read. Select the button to identify the hook. Not again, I protested when I heard Mom's news. Where are we going this time? We've moved 6 times in the 12 years since I was born. That's because my dad's job is to set up offices for his company, and each time he finishes establishing a new one, we move. So think about where you think the hook is and then check the beginning. Not again. So as we can see, this quotation here is dialogue. So she's starting her story out, her personal narrative out with dialogue. Revealing emotion. The writer uses not only words, but also punctuation to reveal the narrator's feelings. Pay particular attention to the exclamation point after not again and the underlining of the word this, both of which emphasize the narrator's strong feelings. So again, this exclamation point after not again and the underlining of the word this time. So we get the sense she's done this many times before. And as we go on, she says she's moved 12 times since she was born. All right. See if you can find it. Reveal again, copy and paste. If you find this important, put it in that review document. Slide 4. A writer uses these techniques of dialogue, vivid language, and appropriate punctuation throughout a narrative, not just in the opening sentence. Why do you think that a writer continues to use these techniques? Select all that apply. Again, we got a multiple choice question here. So you're going to check all these that apply. To help the reader learn more about the characters, to help the reader picture what is happening, so that the reader will be impressed with the writer's vocabulary and use punctuation, or so that the reader will want to read the entire personal narrative. Check your answer. Once you know the correct answer to all of these, copy and paste the question in all those that are correctly apply in your review document. And then you're ready, since we're on 404, to go on to module 4. Analyzing personal narrative. We can analyze personal narratives just as we analyze a paragraph. For example, we can identify the purpose, tone, pattern of organization, and other elements of a piece of writing. We can also observe how writers use dialogue, vivid words, and sometimes even humor to make their point. Most writers write personal narratives in the language of storytelling. They include dialogue and precise descriptors, so their reader can imagine they are hearing and seeing events unfold. They use language that shows rather than tells. Analyze the writer's craft. Reread the personal narrative model essay. Think about what the author did to achieve her purpose and bring her personal narrative back to life. I'm not going to reread it at this point. If you need it reread, then pause the video, go back to where I was reading, and re-listen to me reading it. And then come back here. Responding as a writer, what do you think the writer's purpose is? A, to persuade readers that California is a wonderful place to live. B, to inform readers about the dangers of earthquakes. C, to entertain readers with an amusing story about her misconceptions. Or D, to express feelings and thoughts about leaving her friends. What do you think? Pick an answer, check it. Got it wrong. Let's try again. What do you think her purpose was for writing this personal narrative? Perhaps it's this one. Ah, yes, it is. To entertain readers with an amusing story about her misconceptions. So, copy the question and the correct answer. Put that in your review document now. Then you'll be ready to move on to question number 2. Which word best describes the overall tone of the narrative? A, sad, B, serious, C, scary, or D, humorous? What do you think? Check your answer. Once you know the correct answer, copy and paste the question and correct answer into your review document. Then you're ready to move on to question 3. How does the writer organize her narrative? A, chronologically, B, spatially, C, order of importance, or D, logical order? Pick your answer, check it. Once you know the correct answer, copy and paste the question and correct answer into your review document. And you're ready for question 4. What is one example of how the writer uses her craft to keep the audience reading? A, she chooses an interesting title. B, she quotes conversations and chooses words that paint clear pictures. C, she chooses a subject, earthquake, that many people want to know more about. Or D, she hints that the narrative's ending will surprise them. Click on an answer, check it. Once you know the correct answer, copy and paste the question and correct answer into your review document. You're ready to move on to question number 5. Which details help you understand Megan's fear of earthquakes? A, suddenly I heard a low rumble and the room seemed to shudder for a few seconds. B, we grumbled about my bad luck. C, yeah, all you have to worry about are earthquakes, Josh joked. Or D, I can see flames devouring houses and thick black smoke menacingly hiding the sun. Click on an answer, check it. Once you know the correct answer, copy and paste the question and correct answer into your review document, and you're ready for the 6th and final question. Why do you think the writer includes the details about living near the elevated railway? A, it explains why the family was eager to move to California. B, it later helps readers understand why she mistook the earthquake for a passing train. C, it helps readers understand why Chicago was such an exciting place to live. Or D, it makes the description of Chicago seem more vivid. When you have an answer, check it. Once you know the correct answer, copy and paste the question and correct answer into your review document. And we're on slide 2 of 2, so we're ready to move to module 5. Organization. In the personal narrative that you read, the author uses chronological order. It's a pattern in which details are arranged in the order that they occur. To organize her writing, we experience the story unfolding from the beginning to the end in the order in which it occurred. In this way, the writer can easily follow the path of the story. In addition, the narrator is able to add the twist at the end when she realizes that the earthquake she feared were not such a big deal after all. Authors choose chronological order for very specific reasons, such as the ones above. Number 1, what is chronological order? What is your definition of it? Check the answer. Telling a story from beginning to end in the order in which it happened. Again, put this in your review document or that graphic organizer because it asks about that too in there. Number 2, why did the author choose chronological order for this personal narrative? What are your thoughts? Check your answer. She probably felt it best to help make her point. that we worry needlessly over little things. She builds to and reveals this theme at the end. Number 3, how does the use of chronological order help the narrator tell the story well? Think of your answers. Being able to begin with the narrator's feelings about the move, build up anxiety about earthquakes, and then end on a humorous note helps the author make a point about fears. Okay, once you have copied and pasted all these questions and answers in your review document and or your graphic organizer, you're ready to move on to slide 2. Purpose. Authors always have a purpose, the reason for writing. All authors always have a purpose for their writing. These purposes can have many different reasons, but some of the most common include to inform, to entertain, to persuade, and to analyze. Which purpose do you think the author had when writing All Shook Up? The author's purpose in this personal narrative is to entertain the reader. Yeah, all you have to worry about are earthquakes, Josh joked. Earthquakes? Oh, great. I'd forgotten about earthquakes. This passage reveals that one purpose in the story is to use humor to discuss the narrator's fears. Her use of humor here shows that the purpose of this narrative is to entertain rather than another purpose. That was an earthquake, I exclaimed. I felt cheated. I'd been in an earthquake and hadn't even known it. I couldn't wait to write my friends in Chicago. This passage reveals another side to the author's purpose to entertain. She uses a twist at the end of the narrative to surprise the reader, which is very entertaining. All right, slide 3. First person point of view. In All Shook Up, the writer chose to use first person point of view. Narration of a story by one of the characters using pronouns such as I and me. Using first person point of view has a few effects on the story. One, it makes the reader more personal, the reading more personal, because the narrator only expresses his or her thoughts and feelings. A strong connection is created between the reader and the narrator. 2, it highlights issues with the narrator's reliability. Because the reader has access to the inner thoughts and feelings of the narrator, issues like trustworthiness or immaturity, which might cause us to question the narrator's version of events, are easy to spot. Number 3, it allows the narrator's perspective or interpretation of events to dominate the story because we only have access to one character's thoughts and feelings. That character has more opportunity to express him or herself than do other characters. This means the reader tends to understand the story as the narrator understands it and may overlook other sides of the story that could be provided by adding the perspectives of other characters. As you continue, you'll learn how first person point of view affects this personal narrative. Slide 4. Okay, we have an activity here. Share your story. All right, we have an excerpt and the effect. All right, on the excerpt we have, she truly sounded sorry, but I could see she was pleased too because she was from California. I thought Mom is really going to be upset when she finds out that we're living near train tracks again. And we have effect up here. Creates a strong connection between the narrator and the reader. All right, we have, my stomach felt so cold, felt full of cold lead. You'd think I'd be used to moving, but I felt sick every time. Well, since this is an excerpt, it's got to go over here. All right, which one of these two allows the perspective of one character to dominate the story? I'm going to go with this one because I thought the mom is really going to be upset when she finds out we're living on train tracks again. Makes the reader aware of issues with the narrator's reliability. Please too, because she's from California. Wait a minute. I think I want to change my, oh, it's not going to let me. So I may not get it right. Nope, I had these switched. So when you do it, be sure and switch those. Because this is talking about her mom a little bit, so it allows the perspective of one character to dominate. So Yeah, we can hit replay. I can try it again. Okay. My stomach felt full of cold lead. Well, we know this is an excerpt. Allows the perspective of one character to dominate the story. We know that goes there. And I thought, Mom, that's an excerpt. So that's got to be there. All right. We did it right this time. Slide 5. Reflection on the personal narrative. Now it's time to take a few minutes to reflect upon All Shook Up and the techniques the author used to make its message effective. Jot your ideas down as you go through these questions. Be thinking about how you can use the same techniques in a personal narrative of your own. You will turn these notes in when you turn in your final personal narrative. Number 1, how does the author's organization of the narrative help the reader understand it? Think of your answer. Chronological order helps give the narrative the flow of a story. It helps the reader follow events easily. So copy and paste that into your review document. Number 2, how does the author create the humorous tone in the narrative? Think of your answer, then check. The author uses funny dialogue and thoughts from the narrator to help create a humorous tone. Remember to copy and paste into your review document. Number 3, how is the author's purpose revealed? What are your thoughts? Write them down. Check your answer. The author's purpose to entertain is revealed through the use of humor and light tone of the story. Number 4, how does using first-person point of view make the narrative effective? Think of your answer. Jot it down. Check your answer. The use of first-person point of view helps the reader understand the narrator's motives and emotions. All right, be sure that you've got all these questions and answers copied and pasted into your review document. And then you're ready to move forward to Module 6. Check your knowledge. You should be really familiar with personal narratives and what makes them unique by now. In this lesson, you learned about the characteristics of a personal narrative and how writers use purpose, organization, tone, and first-person point of view to create effective personal narratives. You also began thinking about how these characteristics can help you write your own personal narrative. Answer the following questions to check your knowledge. Number 1, how do dialogue and first-person perspective help give detail to the text? Write your answer. Check it. Dialogue and the use of first-person point of view help the reader understand what the characters are thinking and feeling. Number 2, what is the purpose in writing? Write down your thoughts. Check your answer. Purpose is the author's reason for writing the piece. Number 3, what are some of the effects of first-person point of view? Write down your answer. Check it. It allows the writer to communicate their ideas directly to the reader. It also allows the reader to feel quite close to the writer. So copy and paste all of those questions and answers, along with your thoughts as well, into your review document before proceeding. So before proceeding to the quiz, be sure that you have completed all the activities, reading and vocabulary in this lesson and 1.11. Go ahead and have those 2 review sheets pulled up, any graphic organizers, and the article about Thurgood Marshall and the story from the book, which was on page 335 in your textbook about Thurgood Marshall. Have all of that pulled up before clicking the next button to go forward. Remember, it's an open book quiz. Use your resources on it. You have 3 chances to make an 80 or better on this. If you don't do well the first time, go back and rewatch this video, redo the lessons along with me, pausing and actually writing your stuff and taking the notes as I suggest, or take better notes the next time. And then try it again. If after that second attempt you're still not making an 80 or better, come see me in Help Lab, 1 p.m. to 1:30, Monday through Thursday. Of course, with us not having class Monday this week, that will be Tuesday through Thursday this week. Or you can always reach out to me via email at ljordan@tvahallsville.org, or my phone number is 254 307 0033. If your learning coach has not opted you in to receive phone calls or text messages from me, I will respond back to you, either responding back to your learning coach, or I will send you an email. So if you send me a question via text or phone, be checking your email, because that's most likely where I will respond to you. All right. Y'all have a great day. If you have any questions, reach out. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you found this helpful. Bye.